All right. My fellow Jeep peeps, this is Doc again, and that's right, this is a video about Jeeps, and I know what you're thinking. Finally, a video that I care about. Well, trust me, I plan on doing a lot of Jeep content, but that's not because it's a good thing necessarily. It's because Jeeps require constant care and feeding as daily drivers, maybe even more if you take yours off-road as God intended. If you watched my intro to the channel vid, great, you're all caught up. If you didn't, I'm really disappointed in you, and I have to wonder if you care about me at all, because you don't call, you don't write, you never say I love you, and now you don't watch my intro video? All right, I'll sum it up here. I love the DIY channel Ratchets and Wrenches. All the DIY channels that I love are linked in my on the homepage of my YouTube channel. Several years ago, Ratchets and Wrenches posted a video called The Top 5 SUVs for Under $3,000, and I decided to buy a couple of them, fix them if they needed it, and use them as daily drivers. That way I could pass on my precious, precious knowledge and experience to you, my curious kitty cats. But I did it with a twist, so stay tuned. Hint, I did not succeed in teaching my dog to drive or talk, but I'm still working on that as a side project. Ratchets and Wrenches called out the Jeep 1996 to 2001, the Jeep Cherokee during those model years, aka the XJ, specifically the ones with the 4.0-liter six-cylinder inline engine, not the four-cylinder, as the number 5 video or the number 5 car in his list, SUV, and mentioned the following positive things about it. So I have to read this to you because I'll never remember this stuff. It has a timing chain. That's reliable. It makes it more reliable. What he means is that timing belts tend to break much more often than chains, which are really, really tough. Now, he didn't mention this, but I think I will. I think that the 4.0-liter engine is a non-interference one. So even if your timing chain does break for some reason, it's not going to destroy the engine. Someone correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I think that's the case. He also said, going on to the second thing he said, it has plentiful cheap parts. Yes and no. Now, I have 6 months experience working on my XJ so far, and I'm going to do an entire video on the parts issue in the near future. So let's, in the near future. So let's just let this go for now. And Uncle Tony has a wonderful set of videos on how today's aftermarket parts suck. And I strongly suggest you check him out and those videos out. The third thing he said was that the XJ engine bay is not crowded. Absolutely. Compared to Japanese cars from the same time period, those are the only ones I really have experience with, the Jeep engine compartment is like an open football field. So working on it is much easier in some ways, which is good because you'll be working on it. Trust me. Now, he also lists multiple problems, which I'll cover, but this one really got me because at the time I watched this, I had never owned an American car ever in my life. So I thought, oh, well, that doesn't sound so bad. So let's listen to him directly and then I'll continue.
As far as any common problems or issues with these vehicles, well, it's a Chrysler, so you're going to have to keep up with the maintenance.
Hear that? It's a Chrysler. What does that mean? It means that the Jeep's 4.0-liter engine and its Aisin Warner transmission, an entirely underrated but incredibly reliable transmission, I have the automatic version and it's glorious, are solid, bulletproof. Everything else? Expect it to break and break again and again and again and again, and understand that OEM parts are not available today in many cases for the XJ. I'm not kidding. I forgot my kids' names because I spent so much time replacing things on this Jeep in order to get it roadworthy. And if I can find OEM parts, they're usually way, way, way too expensive to actually afford.
And I've been saying for a long time that Chrysler makes cars that are as good, if not better, than anything coming out of America, Europe, or Japan.
So, dude, you're wondering, why is it in the top 5? Well, before I get to that, I'll explain it in a second. I want to tell you about the twist I mentioned earlier. I got my XJ from Copart. Yeah, Copart. I bought it after used car prices had started going way up because of the chip shortage. So there was no way I could find an XJ for under $3,000. And I like a challenge. So I thought, let's roll the dice and see what $1,300 at Copart gets you. And I had just finished a major rebuild on my salvage Title '05 Honda CR-V, also a Ratchets and Wrenches recommendation. So I was cocky and arrogant, actually thinking I was a real mechanic and could handle anything. So take my experience with a grain of salt. I bought a pure piece of garbage, almost sight unseen. Not smart, you say? What a moron, you say? Not really. That piece of garbage is now my daily driver, and I got tons of YouTube content out of it. And soon I will rule the world. All right, well, not really. And yeah, I did spend way too much money on fixing it up, but at least I did get to have fun and make these videos. I also have to mention something else, and getting back to why is it in the top 5. In an earlier vid, I told you that I was a closet Toyota guy, but there's something else about Jeep that's just incredible. Once I started researching XJs to see if I could buy one, I stumbled on the old commercials and the old ads and remembered this was the car to have where I lived in the 80s and in the 90s. It was the first.
This is it. The sport utility that started it all. Jeep Cherokee.
Jeep had invented an entirely new class of vehicles with the Jeep Cherokee. And just like the old Willys Jeeps, it became an icon, a piece of Americana. So I would be totally irresponsible if I didn't admit to you that although I hate many things about this Jeep, and I hate Chrysler, I fell deeply in love with this vehicle. I'm driving history here. It's part of the whole Jeep lifestyle thing that they talk about. And it's a piece from, a time gone by. And it's almost sacrilege that I use it as a daily driver. It's old enough for antique plates, man. So even before I get into the Copart experience, let me just answer this question. Was Ratchets and Wrenches right to recommend the Jeep XJ? Yes. Absolutely and unequivocally, yes. And for hundreds of reasons that he never went into. For example, I run a car that has minimal tech. The XJ has minimal tech. There's no rear AC, no tire pressure monitors, no ABS sensors, etc. It is so simple. I have to keep my old Honda Pilot on the road, which are only it's only a few years newer than this Jeep, and that thing is a nightmare of technology. The more tech you have, the more things that break as it gets to a certain age. There are things I've tried to fix on my Honda Pilot 2004 that I haven't figured it out. The XJ does not have that problem, and I love it. Every day I get into it, I return to a simpler time when I was a young man who actually thought all you need to do is work hard and you will succeed. And boy, was that a fantasy. But that's not what that's not what these videos are about. So moving on. After I realized that I couldn't afford a good used XG, I scoured Copart. I got a membership, and soon I found her, a single owner XJ with a Carfax that I thought showed an owner who must have taken care of her. The listing said that it could start and move under its own power. The only problem listed for it was a single word, mechanical. How bad could that be? I'm a mechanic. I can fix it. Yeah, we'll get there. But anyway, since I'm not a dealer, a car dealer, Copart has this nifty system that meant I had to hire a broker to buy the car for me, then have it shipped from Baltimore to South Carolina where I live, making the total cost of everything after, it was all said and done, $2,820. Ouch. That was my first lesson about Copart. The fees add up big time if you aren't going to go and grab the car yourself on a trailer and if you're not a dealer. The brokerage fee and Copart fees were like $800 total. Tax, title, and tags when I got it back to my home was about $220, and shipping is about $500. And here's what I got. The car carrier pulled up, and there she was. Okay, when I first saw this car, I thought absolutely beautiful. Looked better than in the pictures. I checked the undercarriage as it was sitting there on the carrier. Keep in mind, this is the first time I'd seen the car in person, and I couldn't see any rust. Yeah, I was wrong about that. And it did in fact start up when I turned the key. The only problem was I could see at this point anyway that the hood wouldn't latch. So the car carrier guys taped it up to make sure it wouldn't fly up and off when they were driving it down to me. So anyway, got it delivered to my house, wheeled it in my garage, and started planning all the mods and upgrades I was going to do with only one problem. This Jeep had not been maintained. This Jeep had its own plans on what was going to be done to it with my budget. This Jeep was about to test my amateur skills to the limit, and I had no idea what I was in for. That's it for part 1. Look, this will likely be a 2-part series, and in part 2 I go over the horror show that slowly unfolded along with the costs associated with repairing this vehicle, and trust me, it was expensive. Once you see the cost, you'll wonder, like I did multiple times, why didn't you just get a loan for that amount and buy a fully restored XJ? Simple. Then I wouldn't have YouTube content. All right, you guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you soon. Doc out. Oh, you made it to the end. That's awesome. Listen, I'm Doc. I'm the one who's, the voice behind these videos. And I really appreciate you taking the time to actually watch the whole thing. That's fantastic. If you've got time, if you want to, if you like the video, hit like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the bell button so you get notified of new videos when I put them up. I'm going to try and do one a week. And I'm going to do a bunch of Instagram stuff, so make sure you follow me there and on Twitter. Instagram's going to be the shorter stuff. I don't have any merchandise yet. I'm planning to as the channel grows. If I succeed, I'll get some merch. For now, if you really want to help me in another way, you like these videos enough, I'm going to put links to my books in the description of the video. I'm a science fiction author in my spare time as well, so I'm juggling a lot of balls. But anyway, I really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you at the next one. Hey, do me a favor and turn this junk off. I don't know how to deal with tech.